why did you get rid of the super cool intro videos?
Yeah, the old school policy trailer is amazing. It's on YouTube. Look it up. Marcus policy trailer. Yeah.
I missed those.
Yeah, they were. It was so. No, I did the wrong one. I did the wrong one. The one everyone knows is how's it go?
No, you did the right. You did the right song.
No. The wrong one is do.
Oh no, you're right.
All right.
That's the right one. That's the right one.
Welcome to Idiot Block, a comedic podcast critiquing, discussing, and analyzing the media industry through reviews, debates, and historical deep dives.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to an episode of Idiot Plot. I'm David Giannis. Joining me today are my co-host Alex Overdahl.
I really wish we could do the Marcus policy trailer for this one.
I really wish we could do it too. How about you, Justin? What do you think?
Let's all go to the movies. Let's all go to the movies.
Yeah. And we're all doing a movie theater talk. That's our topic today. We're talking about all things movie theaters. They're reopening. The box office is getting really good now. So we're just going to talk about our thoughts on the state of theaters, the future of theaters, and maybe some of our theater memories. But before that, we're going to do our opening segment like always. This time, we're going to do what we watched again, because there's really been no news that happened in this past week. So, Alex, why don't you start us off? What'd you watch?
Well, I watched a 1940s film called The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, which is going to get one of two responses. You're either going to go, what the fuck are you talking about? Or you're going to say, oh yeah, that movie's amazing. Because it's one of those that took a while to get its reputation, but everybody who's seen it loves it. It's about World War II colonel, kind of an old guy who looks like a bit of like a stickler, like a buffoon type character, and kind of gets one-upped by a young officer in an exercise, but who goes after him because he's old and outdated. But it flashes back and shows his life and that he was also young once, and it's about life and aging and virtue principles, those kind of things. So it's a fantastic film, very reflective, very powerful, also very fun. Like, it's got a very free spirit kind of to it. So it's on HBO Max. I would highly recommend it. It's also got a Criterion. So it's incredible. Like, I was blown away.
Is the Max copy the Criterion release?
Yes, it looks amazing because it's from the time this director-writer pair, Michael Powell, Emmerich Pressburger, they did a number of Technicolor films, and there weren't that many films in color at the time, and like it looks amazing. Like, the visuals are incredible. It looks like it was made like 30-40 years later.
It's interesting. I looked it up. It was made before the war was finished. Does that have anything to do? Like, does that reflect on the movie at all?
Yeah, well, it almost does, because Winston Churchill tried to get it banned because he thought Colonel Blimp was supposed to be him. and it's based on like a satirical comic strip that like makes fun of this stereotypical British officer, but it takes that and goes like in a different direction. Like, well, actually, this person used to be young, and this is how he got here, and this is what he's really like underneath. So, but because of that resistance early on, it did take a while for it to get the reputation. They were a famous writer-director pair, but this one didn't become popular until like an 80s re-release, when it got appreciated for being amazing.
Is it like an action movie? Is it like a comedy? What kind of movie is this?
It's a bit like an epic. I wouldn't say it has the scale, but like that kind of storytelling. It's a very personal one. It has some war scenes, but it's mostly like about his life and about this friendship he forms and the conflicts that come into that, because he befriends in like the early 1900s a British officer. A German officer, which considering the two world wars becomes quite interesting. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, I was completely blown away. This is like a legit classic.
This is another 3-hour one.
No, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
That's close enough.
Close.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, how long are credits? Because I'm assuming it also has credits at the beginning. So
Well, yeah, they're in the beginning because it's the 40s. So
Yeah, so it's like
forced to
it's
watch
like
them.
3 minutes of credits at the start. I
so it's
kinda
probably like
that.
only 2.5 hours.
Right. It's got these nice storybook credits at the open, which are kind of nice. But yeah, you could in theory skip them.
See, I like the credits at the beginning when they do it in creative ways.
Yeah.
So this is
We're
like,
just-
this is looks like a storybook and like
Okay.
because it's like a whole life story kind of thing.
Okay, Justin, how about you? What'd you watch?
I watched the last movie I saw in theaters, and that'd be the 2020 Christopher Nolan Tenet. I
Interesting.
came across this on HBO, and I was like, I haven't seen it since theater. I said I have to rewatch this movie because with all Nolan movies, this second time around you always catch more, and you always I always seem to like his movies better the second time around. But basically, it's John David Washington as the protagonist, as he's trying to uncover all these bullets and other things that are radiated differently, that they actually move backwards in time, not forwards in time. And it leads to find an evil guy who's actually planning on destroying the world.
I love how you say evil guy because I don't remember his name either.
I know he's
Kenneth
Russian.
Branagh.
I know he's Russian. That's about it.
Like Russian
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh arms dealer who also is a Bond villain.
He's so good though.
It's
He
not-
chews up the
it's not
scenery
great.
and
Yeah, he was. I thought he gave a good performance. He was fun.
but
He's a much better actor than he is director, but he's forced
least
to direct a
now.
lot of stuff.
I mean this movie's
It's hard to believe he
great.
used to be a good director.
You got Robert Pattinson in here, kind of. After this is the first thing I've kind of seen him in, other than Twilight. So it was actually kind of good to see him in something other than that, because I think after seeing this movie, I'm like, yeah, he can pull off the Batman role. Forever, how
He's
long?
a good actor.
Yeah, I know,
Oh, yeah.
but
He was amazing in the Lighthouse,
I
too.
always hear that. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a really good actor, and if you don't think he is, it's because you haven't seen him in anything other than Twilight.
And let's be honest, Twilight shit.
Yeah, Twilight shit.
No one
he's
can make
shit
that
in
script
it.
work.
Like it's not a good movie, but he's really good in this. Now, important question, because I have not seen Tenet since theaters. Where it was safe to do so. It was safe for me to see it in theaters. Like people,
They were
if
open. We
anyone's
could
worried
go.
about that. Yeah, it was safe at that time. How is the sound design?
That was my question as
That
well.
is still the most irritating thing about Christopher
Okay.
Nolan movies. Ever since, what was it, like Inception, ever since then, he's done all this weird sound design. And it's just, I get what he's going for, but it irritates the hell out of you. Especially when the characters are talking and
Yeah,
you
my-
want
my-
to hear what they're saying.
Yeah,
When
my
you
question
saw
was like,
Tenet-
was it better? Because I saw it in IMAX, which I feel like it was very clearly mixed for because I could actually like hear.
Oh,
what
it was
they were
made
saying.
for IMAX because Dunkirk
Yeah.
was the same way. Everyone complained about not being able to hear Dunkirk super well. I saw Dunkirk in IMAX and I had no issues.
I feel like Dunkirk is the one where like that approach was perfect for that movie because what they're saying like basically doesn't matter at all.
Yeah,
Well,
no, he also,
and this,
but,
you're like,
like he
what's going-
started it with in Interstellar.
Oh yeah, for sure. You couldn't hear anything in that movie.
But it's strange because if you see it in IMAX, you can hear it perfectly.
Yeah.
And,
have two different
honestly, it goes all the way back to probably Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, because no one could understand what Bane was saying. So,
They-
in the test
they had to
test
redo all of
audience,
Bane's voice.
yeah,
Because and even then it has the issue where the music in that movie is deafening.
see, I have not
Not as
seen.
bad as Tenet. Tenet is fucking too much.
I haven't seen any of these in IMAX, so I can't comment on it. But if you say it sounds better, then I mean, I guess my problem is there's not enough IMAX theaters around
Yeah.
for me to justify him
Yeah.
to continue to do this. I mean, I get it, you're using the best
Right, and
technology and everything, but it's like some areas don't have these theaters where you can actually see it how you want it to be seen.
Right, you've got to make like a different
IMAX.
mix or something. Like you've got to like
Yeah.
know that, because I mean it's not a problem for other films, right? I mean he's like the IMAX guy, but like nobody, there's no other films like you go see Mission Impossible in IMAX, like you're not going to complain about the sound because it's not a problem.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is he's making these movies for IMAX, but he's not making comparable versions. That like he made a mix for Tenet, which was specifically designed for a format that, like Justin has pointed out, is only available in select areas. And honestly, as the IMAX movies start to expand, they're almost becoming harder to find. A lot of the ones that are owned and operated by the IMAX company have been closing up, and now all you get are the ones that AMC opens in an AMC theater, and the results on that are really mixed. Having been in one of those for Endgame, it was not a good experience. It wasn't really IMAX. It was honestly upsetting.
Because honestly, I think they're going all in on Dolby Atmos.
Oh, they are.
So
Most companies are switching from IMAX to Dolby, but not Nolan.
Right, because he wants to shoot in that 70 mil IMAX.
Yeah.
Like
He wants to shoot it on
a good
film.
example. Well, a good example of this: Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame were both filmed entirely on IMAX format, and they look fine not on IMAX, and they sound fine not on IMAX. Where Nolan does the same thing yet has all these problems every time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the movie though. I don't think it's his best work. I think it's almost. I think it's almost too self-indulgent.
Yeah. After rewatching it, it'd probably be either around 5 or 6, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's probably his weakest. Like I think all of his movies are great. Like I haven't seen one I haven't really enjoyed, but that's probably the weakest. But I still had a great time watching it.
But just I give him a lot of credit for the stuff he tries, the big brain ideas he comes up with. I mean, having you fight yourself without realizing you're fighting yourself while also one of you is going backwards.
Cool.
It's like the reveal of that, you're like, and then just the fact that he weaves this entire story, you get to one point, you go backwards, and you're basically going to all the same locations.
Yes, the direction is amazing. I think the big question with Tenet is, had the movie been released not in a pandemic, what would the response have been? I think that's a really big what if.
I think it would have made more money, certainly. I think a lot of the complaints, like the sound stuff and some of the plot stuff, would have stayed. So I think it still would have been like similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It'd kind of be similar. I mean, maybe the scores would be a little. I think the scores would be a little higher on some people, considering they were. If you read some reviews, it was kind of like, "Oh yeah, really good," blah blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, "But it made me go to theaters," and everyone gives it a knock for that. And it's like, I think you're giving a knock justified.
People were overly critical, I think, of Times of Warner's decision. I mean, they're docking the movie for something that wasn't the movie's fault, and that wasn't okay. But I think a lot of the criticisms, I think, were justified.
Yeah, the sound design.
I think there's also been like the combo of like this probably being his weakest, although I still liked it a lot. But there's also been a trend of the last couple of movies of it's now cool to not like Nolan.
Yeah, I mean,
like
I'm
you're
Nolan
starting to get that slow backlash, and then you get one that they can finally like really have some holes with, and then everybody kind of just jumped on.
Well, I remember seeing one thing where someone's like, "Oh, I can't believe people are giving Nolan credit for this movie. Zack Snyder did something like this." I'm like, if Zack Snyder did something like this, it'd be his best movie of his career. It's like,
what movie did Snyder do that was like this?
I don't know. They're saying
they're probably trying
like
to say Justice League is or something.
Well, they're like trying to debate like Nolan's story is so stupid. If some other director did this, they'd be laughed out of the room. It's just like, yeah, but
it's not stupid.
But also, it's like
it's almost too smart.
Yeah, but also Nolan's movies are at least well acted and fun. Like the other ones don't, and they look great. Other movies, like something like this, would be horrible, cheesy dialogue, bad action, shaky cam, quick edits.
Gerard Butler
everywhere. Yeah, Gerard Butler in there.
I mean,
and the practical stunts are still amazing.
Well, yeah, and the practical, like, and that whole battle at the end where it's like you're seeing people blow up a wall, rebuild itself, and then get blown up again. It's like, that is phenomenal.
It's a marvel of direction that a lesser director would make into a cheap Netflix movie starring Mark Wahlberg or Gerard Butler that just is very basic time travel, whereas this really tries to get into the science of time travel. And it's really fun as hell.
I do agree with you, though,
even though
Alex. It seems to be the cool thing to hate on Christopher Nolan now for some reason. It's just like...
It has been since Dark Knight Rises, I've noticed.
Yeah, I think that's when it started, and then it kind of, like, stabilized. Like, even Interstellar got a lot of shit at first, but now people really love that one. And then Dunkirk, it was kind of stable, but, like, they were waiting for one to really, like... kind of jump on, because those are like really good. It's hard to deny that they're good.
Yeah. And with Nolan movies, I mean, I always say, I'm like, you have to watch a Nolan movie twice, because first time you'll be like trying to comprehend all the stuff, but the second time you pretty much understand it. You'll actually enjoy it a lot more.
However, I do think Nolan does sometimes ask too much of his audiences by almost demanding, hey, you want to see this movie the right way? You want to hear the dialogue? Travel 2 hours to your nearest metropolitan area to watch it in IMAX. I think that is almost asking too much of people at some point in time.
Yes, I do agree with that. He needs to work on that. But
I will say, though, you did give a good segue there, Justin. Because my What We Watched pick is a Zack Snyder movie. It's his most recent one on Netflix, Army of the Dead. Which is getting lots of critical praise. People call it a return to form for him. However, this movie's not that great. Like, it's hard for me to like try and put it softly. I don't get why people are in love with this movie. I don't understand it. I want to watch it.
It's become cool to like Snyder for some reason.
Yeah,
well, and you got the Snyder boys too. So basically.
But even like critics now, critics are like praising Snyder when 5 years ago they were mocking him and all pro Joss Whedon
for the exact same things. He hasn't changed at all.
For doing the same shit he's doing now. And Army of the Dead, it's not. People who say it's not very Snyder are kind of wrong. If you say that, it's because you need to, I think, study him a little bit more closely, because this has the slow motion, this has the cheesy dialogue, it has the wrong use of tone. Like, this movie was marketed and should be a really fun, not necessarily lighthearted, but at least kind of tongue-in-cheek, knows what it is, fun time. I mean, you have zombies attacking Vegas. That's the plot of the movie. There's a zombie outbreak in Vegas caused by the government. And then Dave Bautista leads a crew of mercenaries in to steal a bunch of money from this hotel. So it's like a zombie heist movie. Interesting concept. Fun concept. They're in Vegas. Lots of areas in Vegas for cool action set pieces. For cool gags, for awesome zombie kills. It sounds like it should be a fun time. There's a freaking zombie tiger in there. The zombies have their own society. There's some interesting shit. But Zack Snyder has to Zack Snyder all over it. And what we get is this super sad, drab, melodramatic, over-the-top, emotional, in quotations, because it's really just attempts to be emotional, movie that sucks whatever fun could have been had out of it almost immediately. The movie is just, it's so sad. It's so just like, takes itself way too fucking seriously. when it should be. I mean, it's Dave Bautista fighting zombies in Vegas.
That's another staple of Zack Snyder is basically what should be fun, I'm going to turn into an emotional, depressing movie.
Yeah, exactly. And this should not be depressing at all. But also, it looks horrible. This movie looks terrible. It's like he shot this on an iPhone. It does not look good. Like the cinematography is terrible cheap. This is some of the worst examples of cheap digital I've ever seen. Like we talk about cheap digital on here a lot. You know, with the bright colors for lighting to make up for the fact that the shot doesn't look that great. This shoots like a desert with like no color correction on crappy like basic red cameras. It looks like a student film. And it's still somehow like 2.5 hours long. And literally only about 30 minutes of that is actual action. Like the last 30 minutes of it is like the actual action of the movie. And the action, I will say, when it gets good, it is really good. But it's rarely that good because there's really any action in it. The other big thing, and this is something that he's been praised for, which I don't understand. So there's a character in the movie who's supposed to be played by Chris D'Elia, but he had some pretty awful accusations against him, so they replaced him with Tig Notaro. But instead of reshooting large parts of the movie, they CGI'd Tig Notaro into already shot pieces of the movie. She only actually filmed scenes with one actress, even though she's in shots with multiple different people, and she never looks right. Like, it never looks good. It looks like she was photoshopped in there. And not only that, because of this, she has to almost like imitate Chris D'Elia's performance, which means her performance is horrible. And I see tons of reviews saying that she's the best part of the movie, and she's not. She's bad. She's really bad.
Or is the rest of the movie just that bad?
That's a fair point. I mean, this is a movie. I gave it a 3 initially. I'm probably going to lower that. I wanted to enjoy. I wanted to have a fun time. I don't get the praise. There's one moment in the film that is the most Zack Snyder thing I've ever seen. I'm going to spoil this movie, so skip ahead like 30 seconds. I don't want this movie spoiled for you and you haven't seen it. There is a scene where this zombie woman gets killed, like the ones in the trailer gets killed, and like the alpha zombie sees her body and rips open her stomach to reveal a zombie fetus. So in this world, the zombies can conceive other zombies. It's the most Zack Snyder thing I've ever heard of.
Fucking ridiculous.
I was laughing. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. This movie is ridiculous. Not only that, we are somehow already getting a prequel movie to this, Army of Thieves, coming out this year, in an anime prequel show that's going to tie into the eventual sequel.
How'd this dude get so much power randomly?
I don't know. They keep betting big on him. I don't get it. I don't get how he's become this critical darling and become this amazing director when he's literally changed nothing.
I can't believe it's 2.5 hour movie.
Shit we all complain about. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not evolved at all, and this is like this is a Snyder movie. This is not him trying something new that people are trying to kind of spin it as. I think a really good example to show kind of why this movie is meh in a lot of ways. So Jeff Pritzel, he was on the show for a Snyder Cut episode. Big Snyder fan of our friend group, loves all of his movies, defends him whenever we go after him. Even he was like, yeah, this movie's not that great.
Yeah, but again, they just give Snyder bonus points for being Snyder. It's like, but a director got to do what he wanted, so it's good.
Yeah. This movie, if you're a Snyder fan, anything I tell you, you're gonna watch it anyway.
Enjoy it.
But if you're not and you're kind of on the fence, don't watch them. Don't watch it. It's not worth it. There are better movies for that length. Like that's the problem.
Yeah, I know,
it's not worth 2.5 hours. If it was a 90-minute movie,
complain about
sure.
watching a long classic movie, and then we'll spend like over 2.5 hours watching some random Snyder movie.
So yeah,
Like
that's my thoughts on Army of the Dead. I doubt you two are gonna watch it. So, I heard it's the whole thing.
Maybe
Gun
if
to my
I'm drunk
head,
enough.
I would take the bullet.
No more Snyder. So with that, we'll move on to our main topic of the day, which is movie theaters. We're just going to casually talk about our thoughts on the state of movie theaters, the past, the present, the future, maybe some stories about our movie theater experiences. There's lots to talk about with this. So I'll get us started. Do you guys remember what was your first movie in a movie
I
theater?
do.
I
guess
got
going
mine.
first then.
I believe so.
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay. Well, mine, I did have to confirm with my parents. I do have like a vague memory of this. It was Babe, Pig in the City, the second Babe movie,
My condolences.
which was in 1998. So I was like 3. When did it drop in 98? Let's see. Yep, I just turned 3 like 2 weeks before. I vaguely remember only because, like, eventually, kids' attention span, I was just like, hey, I can't do this anymore, and then we left. But not too long after, I saw Phantom Menace, and I remember that, and I definitely stayed for all of that because that was sick. So,
Mine was at the Marcus Hastings Theater, which was a great theater. It's not anymore. Because they probably haven't updated since I went there in 1999 to see The Adventures of Elmo in Grouchland. that was my
definitely
first
the most
movie.
you movie possible to see first.
Yeah.
Oh, my parents! I love Sesame Street. So my mom knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. She had like an off from work. We went at like 11 in the morning. We're like the only ones in the theater, and I was like in like a blanket. I didn't have the best attention span either, but it was Sesame Street, so I was gonna watch the whole movie. But I remember just being blown away by like the magic of it. Like I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what black magic got the movie to be that big on the screen. My 3-year-old brain could not comprehend what was happening. But also around this time was Toy Story 2 that was coming out. So I remember the theater just being decked out in Toy Story 2 shit everywhere. And I was like, what kind of magical place is this?
And how come we don't come here more often?
Oh, we did after that. Justin, how about you?
Yeah, I started going a lot.
What was yours, Justin?
Mine was the 1998 Pixar movie, A Bug's Life.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's all kids' films, at least.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, better than going to see Army of the Dead as a 4-year-old or something.
Yeah. You gotta test the waters with a short kids movie, 80, 90 minutes, whatever.
Because some kids because some 3-year-olds can handle that, some 3-year-olds can't.
Hey, I worked in a movie theater. I've seen people take like 8-year-olds into R-rated movies. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Oh, that's me. We'll get to that.
Well, there's R-rated movies and there's R-rated movies.
This was like a slasher film, I believe.
That man, I've seen kids in that. This wasn't R-rated, but I saw Batman v Superman in theaters, and right next to me was like an 8-year-old. Oh my god, that was such a fun time watching this child's innocence die over the course of that
bad? No.
No, not necessarily for that reason, but think of what happens in that movie.
Think of the bathtub
There's
scene.
lots of death, and Superman dies, and
Yeah, Superman dies, a bunch of people die, Batman murders like 80 dudes. When this kid's probably used to the cartoons where Batman doesn't kill.
yeah,
Neither
and then
does
he sees him
Superman.
just smash somebody's head against a brick wall with a storage crate.
I'm sure his mother was covering his eyes when...
She let him go. This wasn't Kingsman. I told you guys about that, right?
No,
I don't think so.
Because I saw Kingsman in a theater, and there was a small family in front of us, and literally, every time there was anything sexual or violent on the screen. Which, remember, this is Kingsman.
Oh boy.
She would lean over and cover the child's eyes.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh.
And these people are right in front of us. They're doing this the entire movie, and it was so distracting.
Yeah, why would you even bring him there?
Because they wanted to go as a family, but didn't want to pay for a babysitter.
Yeah. I made vague reference to it. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I wasn't right in front of them, but right in front of them was a person that will probably appear in most of my movie theater stories. A friend of ours named Jerome. And most of movie theater stories involve him in some capacity. He stared at them for like the whole movie and was about ready to like yell at them the whole time. Like, and it was like saying stuff the whole time, like mocking them behind their back because it was obnoxious. So yeah, don't bring your kids into an R-rated movie if you don't want them to watch.
Well, I'm sure the kid.
Money too.
I'm sure
waste of money.
I'm sure the kid was trying to fight through it and watch it too. So.
No, that was the weird thing. He just let it happen.
Oh really?
Yeah, the hand would go up and he was
so pissed.
The hand would go up and he wouldn't move. It was weird.
Yeah, my parents' thing, like when I was little, was like, because you also get kids now that will just like talk and be loud and nobody does anything. Mine was like, if I was loud during the movie, if I would talk during the movie, that was it. We go. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to watch the movie, so I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's like,
I want to talk about something that grinds my gears.
I don't think I ever told you guys this. I did that once.
What? Just made a bunch of noise?
No, it was during Scooby-Doo, the first one.
Oh.
I forgot exactly what I said, but I was like 6-year-old me just screamed out, "This isn't for kids!" In the middle of like a full movie theater. I was like, "This is not a kids movie. This isn't Scooby-Doo."
That's probably funnier than any of the jokes in the movie.
No, I irritated more people than that. But that was the only time I ever did that.
You know that. And since we're talking about theaters, this is something I really miss, like having fun like that in a theater. But nowadays, with the assigned seating, people show up late, so you don't get to have the fun. Like when we went to go see it, and all of a sudden they're like, the theater's full, and all of a sudden it's like, you should go down to the thing and buy your ticket for this movie. And the guy's like, no, thank you. And the whole theater just burst out laughing.
I remember that. That was funny. Dude, the night we saw it has like some of my favorite movie theater stories ever for some reason. I mean, I hate that night because that was the night I almost got DUI sober after we saw the movie. But that was the one, again, another Jerome story. Because it was me, it was you, Justin, it was Jerome. Because Alex didn't go because you're a wuss.
No, I'm pretty sure I wasn't even in the group yet.
Oh yeah, you were, because it was during professionals. It was during when we made the show.
Well, then I was probably dying inside.
Well, no, I remember the text you sent me. Say, "Hey, want to go see it?" And your response was, "No, too spoopy."
That was probably just my excuse to not go.
That probably was. Even though you shot a movie later and you liked it, so don't even come at me. But anyway, there's a jump. The first, it has one of the greatest jump scares of any movie I've ever seen, which is the one where Beverly's in the bathroom and the camera just casually pans as she leaves the room and Pennywise is just right there.
I mean, they showed it in the trailer and it still got us.
Yeah, and I love that moment only because I remember we all like jumped. I remember looking at Jerome, who was like clutching his chest and going, "Fuck you, movie. Fuck you."
Yeah, I remember hearing him whispering something, and I looked over, and he's just holding his chest, like hyperventilating. I'm like,
he was about to die because he got good with this jump scare. Oh god, that was a fun time.
Like you said, Jerome is the one you have to go to the theaters with, because shit always happens with him. Like the time we went to go see Deadpool 2, and he's the only one who got carded before we went into the movie.
No, that was Deadpool 1.
Oh yeah, Deadpool 1.
2, because
Deadpool 2,
Jerome
I
is
saw
like
with you, right?
Yeah, well, because Jerome looks like he's 40 and he's about my age because he has this big beard, flowing Viking mane, and he got carded and I didn't. No, Deadpool 2 wasn't the one where they thought me and you were on a date, Alex. That was
No, that was Super Troopers 2.
Super Troopers 2 was the one where they thought me and you were on a date. Deadpool 2.
Yeah, they made me pay for both tickets.
We're going to get one. You're like, okay. But I think I paid for a Deadpool ticket though. I think that was how I.
Yeah, you had to give me back.
But the final Jerome story, I'm sure I've mentioned this like 5 times, is when we saw SpongeBob. We saw SpongeBob 2 at Marcus Oshkosh, and we got in theater like 30 minutes before the movie started. And this theater is like kind of full up with kids, but it's still pretty empty because it's still 20 minutes out. And this is an era, I think. No, it's supposed to be before Marcus Oshkosh had assigned seating. So it was still Wild West. But we got in there, we got our seats, and Jerome is probably the loudest person I've ever met. Dude only has one volume and it's loud, and we're talking, we're laughing. And this 8-year-old girl, maybe even younger than that, she was really young. We're 20 minutes out from the movie starting, and this 8-year-old girl turns around, looks Jerome dead in the eye, and just goes, and turns back around. And you would have thought that this little girl swore at him.
She has disrespected my honor. I must fight back.
He didn't say a thing. He was like, what? It took him a little bit to recover. I mean, I was laughing my ass off, but he was like, "The movie's not even started yet." What? He hit a rate to get into this fight with this actual child for shushing him, and it doesn't help that I'm laughing, but maybe we're just being too loud. I don't know. I guess that was the one time I've been in a theater where the kid was the reasonable one.
Yeah, kids are typically not the most well-behaved or reasonable ones in there.
Kids suck in theaters. It's why I go to movies at the Alamo, because they're basically, if I'm going to a kids film, it's at the Alamo usually because they're forced to be good by the rules of the theater.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you see a kids movie with kids in the theater, it could be fun, but sometimes it's just you get the one kid that's like, I don't like the movie, or just starts screaming or running up and down the aisle, and you're like, oh.
Or they laugh at the really bad jokes and you can't actually hear the movie.
Yeah.
Because every time it hears some
Yeah, I try my best to avoid kid times at movies, or I just go to movies that aren't kids movies.
Yeah, what movies are you seeing that are kids movies?
Nothing.
No, well, I mean, yeah, now anything that's PG-13 is like kids movie. Kids will be in there.
Or you'll see somebody in there with their parents.
The prime movie. This is like my prime weekend movie time. If you can do it, go to a Sunday matinee.
Oh, yeah,
it's only old people who don't say anything.
No, don't. Old people are the bane of my existence at movie theaters.
I'm telling you, I tell you, the types of old people that are going to go to a Sunday matinee.
I've been in those theaters. The old people are the worst part.
Well, it depends on what crowd you get.
Because I always get the ones that that basically don't get what's happening on screen and talk really loudly the entire time.
Because they can't hear.
But they're not the Sunday matinee people. I'm telling you.
This is at Sunday matinees.
Well, it's like
you don't want to do that. You don't want to do the Saturday matinee. That's where the kids are.
No, that's the hell one.
Saturday matinee.
Friday night, Saturday matinee.
Unless you're watching Infinity War, which I did, and you get to watch children's childhood die before their eyes, which enhanced that movie like 10 times. Because I literally watched kids cry, and it was really funny.
I'd say that's magical, but we saw.
I don't feel so good, and the 10 kids next to me are
in tears.
What just happened?
It's like, don't worry, he's coming back.
Yeah, I know.
He's under contract.
I'm they're all coming back, and these kids are like.
Now I'm gonna segue to an issue with theaters by telling a story of. So me and Alex went to LA together for a school trip, and on one of our days off, we went and saw 2 movies at some big LA theaters. One of them was we saw Rogue One, a Star Wars story, at the El Capitan, which is Disney's own theater on Hollywood and Highland. Is that where it was? It's right across the street.
It's somewhere on Hollywood
Theater.
Boulevard. I know that. It's somewhere on Hollywood.
It's right across the street from the Chinese Theater, I think.
Yeah, it's by that and the Egyptian stuff.
But we went there, and we bought our tickets like 2 hours ahead of time, and it was it was the pick your own seats. And when I remember from that moment is we picked our own seats, and I remember I basically went, this is dumb, because I haven't really had a lot of time experience with that yet. So I just went, this is stupid. And you looked at me and went, no, it's not. This is great. And I remember we proceeded to fight on Hollywood Boulevard about whether or not it was good to reserve seats ahead of time.
Oh boy, so we are gonna do this, huh? I swear, you're the only person who doesn't like having seats picked ahead of time.
I've softened on it. Okay. But here's my issue with it. Why I don't like it. Justin alluded to it earlier. One of the big issues is it allows people to be almost too lazy, where now they show up when the movie's already started. I do not like that. So I took my wife to see her favorite movie of all time for her anniversary, Hell's Moving Castle. We saw it at the Inver Grove Heights AMC. We got there early. Tickets are all pre-bought. We get there. This is a Fathom Events movie, which means there are no trailers, which means people were arriving to the movie when the movie is already 10 minutes in. And you would think when you go into the movie and you're late, you would go, oh crap, and you quickly run to your seat, sit down, and that's it, right? Not these people.
They pull out their phones, they turn on the light, trying to find where their seat is.
Yep, and they're casually talking. It's like the movie's not actually going on, but the movie is going on. Like, and this is a Fathom event screening, so I've paid a premium. It was probably like a $15 ticket.
Yeah.
To see this movie. It's our anniversary. I hate the movie, so I'm already kind of pissed. but I can't hear it because these people are being morons. And there's a guy with the t-shirt with a t-shirt of the castle on, and this dude's talking like the movie's not even happening. Like, you're a fan. Why are you being a dick when you are a fan of the movie? So there was that one, and then there was the time I saw Dunkirk at a sold out 70mm IMAX screening on opening weekend, and some dude showed up 15 minutes into the movie. This is IMAX, and this is like true IMAX. So you see when one person's walking in front of the screen, and it's a full theater, and this guy's like being really loud, like sorry, I'm from the seat, sorry. That's part of why.
To me, I don't think that's directly a problem with that, because I had people.
I'm not done yet.
A lot, even before.
I got my second big one. That's worse than this.
Okay.
Which is
that theater layouts and theater designs, the modern ones, are for reserving seats ahead of time. When you had theaters that had screens of 100 to 200 seats per show, and there were multiple good seats, it was one thing. Now there's like maybe 50. Usually, I've seen some with 40 or less seats per showing. Half of them are like front 2 rows, right in front of the movie. 8 people, or even less than that, get seats before you, and there's some good seats left.
See, this is another one that I'm gonna say is not directly because of reserved seating, because that's an entire theater policy change. But they've changed not all of them, but like a lot of the big ones have changed to those fancier seats because they want people to get off the couch and go to the movie. Because you'll still get reserved seating in theaters that are designed the old way with old seats, but you can pick which one.
And I get that, but I shouldn't have to go 2 months ahead of time to get a movie ticket. Maybe for something like Star Wars or like a 2001 type thing. but it's gotten so ridiculous. We have to have so much foresight to go to what I used to like as being kind of a spontaneous hobby. I'm bored. Let's go to a movie. You can't do that anymore. So it doesn't shock me that some people don't want to leave the house because they don't have
unless
to
it's
plan.
like one that just came out that weekend, you could usually be fine.
Not in this area. Oh, in this area, because a lot of the theater layouts, you can. It's actually really hard sometimes.
That's what I would do in Oshkosh. Yeah, when I was still back there, I would usually go and just get the ticket when I got there.
We did it sometimes, but I know Justin, when we go to Oshkosh, we really had to do that. I mean, heck, the one time me and you, Alex, that we saw Power Rangers, we had to go to a different showing.
But see, that's when you do like the opening weekend ones, or if it's like a $5 day, then you're gonna have to go do it early.
Yeah, and I get doing it early. I'm okay buying tickets ahead of time. I'm more upset about, like I said, my stance has softened since we had the fight in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard. I've calmed down quite a bit because I do think it works for some things. It's just I think for theaters to want to survive, making it so you have to have that much foresight to go to some movies, I think makes some people, it's not worth the trouble. So you have to go online, find the right showing, pick the seats, then you have to get charged convenience fees for each ticket, which is a freaking scam. Because I think in some ways the convenience fee is BS because it's the only way to get a ticket to some movies. So what's the convenience fee? So I think it's important. I think some people, again, I know I'm in the minority for not liking advance tickets. I know I'm in the minority. And I do it. In some cases, I enjoy doing it because it means I get a seat. But in other times, it is frustrating, I feel. But again, most of it I think is a theater layout issue. It's theater layouts and the advance tickets not really working together super great. Justin, what's your thoughts on this? Whose side are you on? I feel like this is one of the 5 issues we are not going to agree with.
I'm very torn. Like, I agree with Alex where it's like I like it that I can get a ticket and actually have a seat, but I kind of miss just like back in high school when it's like you're with your buddies, like, okay, the movie starts at this time, we got to get there now. It's kind of like you lose the rush that you get for trying to get into a theater that used to be packed, and you're like, oh, we gotta find seats, and okay, we not gonna be able to sit by each other. Okay, let's split up into groups.
Is it weird that I kind of miss waiting in line for a big movie?
Yes. I mean, like, I get some of the rush, but like the reason I don't miss it is because I've showed up like 40 minutes early to a movie, planned out my whole day around going to that movie, and not getting in.
What movie is that? I've never had that issue.
I had already seen it. I had hyped it up to my buddy. He's like, all right, let's do it in 3D. Got there 40 minutes early, sold out.
What
and it sold out right in front of us. There were a few people ahead of us that got tickets, and then that was it. Everybody else, I had already waited in line too, and then we had to go.
What movie was this?
I said it was Avatar.
Oh, you cut out.
Oh, yeah. So I've had that happen, and then like Revenge of the Sith, I mean, we got there like 3 hours early, me and my family. So like we were just sitting there for 3 hours.
So was that the only time you ever hyped up Avatar?
No, I was really into it then because the whole theater experience, which I will still stand by, was amazing.
Well, the Avatar theater experience was amazing. I saw it in 3D in theaters and it blew me away. I preached that movie to everyone, like see it in 3D.
Yeah, and I saw like when I went, I was like garbage front right, worst seats possible, and still loved it. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna get there even earlier this time, and we'll just get amazing seats. And not only did I not get amazing seats, I didn't even get in.
See, but I feel like Avatar was like a different beast back then, like an exception, not the rule. Because I got 40 minutes early to Avengers one opening weekend and was like first in line. We got there way too early. The next people didn't show up for like 20 minutes. We kind of felt like idiots.
But then, like, compare that to now, like the maybe the next best comparable movie, obviously the one it's fighting for in box office, Endgame. I like less than a week before I got my reserved ticket, I got a great seat opening weekend, like the first day or the second day, and I went, and then I had a great seat.
Same here on that.
But that's a little. I say that's a little different, only because Endgame was showing like every 10 minutes on every screen at every theater. It was easy to get Endgame tickets, and especially because you were smart, Alex, and you went to the AMC, but you didn't go for IMAX or Dolby. You just went. I think you just went for the normal screen. Right?
No, it was a bigger one, but it's also like.
But it wasn't IMAX or Dolby. It wasn't the ones everyone's
theaters.
fighting. You because everyone's gonna fight for IMAX and Dolby. No one's gonna. I mean, people.
Those are already long sold out.
Yeah,
but people were still getting tickets.
Yeah, well, because they had to, because that's a movie that you almost had to see opening weekend because the articles were going to come out spoiling the movie.
Hell, half the reviews were spoiling the movie already.
Yeah, but there was still a really big rush for it, and it was much easier. Like, you know which time you can go to and get in because you can look at it and find out.
I mean, I know it's the future. I feel like
most of those loungers suck. Like,
dude, the loungers. I don't get why they're in the future. They're fucking terrible. I fucking hate them.
Yeah, I literally just sat in like 2 weeks ago, the first one that I actually liked. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually comfortable.
Well, they make them so goddamn big. It's like you could like trim them down, maybe throw in a couple more seats in here.
Yeah, I don't need to recline and be like having my head all the way back and like basically taking a nap during this movie. Like, I can sit straight, just like make it so that my back doesn't hurt like hell after, like there's an in between.
And you have enough leg room.
Yeah.
I don't have to. I get that you don't want me to watch movies on my couch anymore. It doesn't mean you have to move my couch into the theater.
Yeah.
Well, that and those things, like you were saying, Alex, like you don't need to fall asleep. It's like I've gone to movies and people are sleeping and all of a sudden they start snoring. It's just like, ugh. Case in point, I went with I went with a group of friends and we went to go see Lion King. My buddy fell asleep and he started snoring. I had to nudge him awake, and all of a sudden it was really funny because all of a sudden they were singing Kuna Matata, and he woke up and all of a sudden just started singing along. I'm like, good God.
I mean, I've seen that happen because they're just bizarre. They're way too big, and they fucked up theater layouts. Some of them, like a good example is the Marcus Oshkosh, where those things are so big and bulky that those theaters are all messed up in the design. Like the best theater layout, in my opinion, are the ones that are built up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, because of these Dream Loungers, most Dream Lounger theaters I've been into are all built
down
long, and it's terrible because you go, oh, I'm only in the third row. That's a great seat. Nope, third row is like a half mile back from the screen because we had to fit all these big ass recliners.
Well, yeah, and like now you can't even like when they had regular seats, the back row was not like a death sentence. Now it's just like, what the hell?
Like, no, the front two rows are perfect. What the hell are we doing? So yeah, Dream Loungers. I mean, we could get comfy seats. Marcus Appleton, I think, is a great example because that one had. I don't know if that had reserved seats. I think it might have. I think for at least some of the showings. But those didn't have Dream Loungers. But they had like the in between the shit seats and Dream Loungers.
Yeah, because we saw Death of Stalin in that theater. It was like regular theater, but like the seats were like a little bit bigger and you had a lot more leg room. And I was like. See, this isn't bad.
The dome. I remember the dome seats being nice. R.I.P. Temporarily. But yeah, those seats. I mean, El Capitan, I remember had terrible seats, but I didn't really care because it was amazing. But like the dome ones were, and really just ArcLight in general had ones that were a nice in between.
Yeah, the dome was another one. That was the other theater you went to on the excursion for La La Land. Which was that theater's amazing. It's one of the greatest. Someone needs to buy that. Greg Marcus looking at you, calling you out.
Papa Greg. It's probably at this point. It's probably going to be AMC.
It's gonna be AMC or Alamo. It's gonna be one of the two.
Yeah, because AMC is strapped with cash now. So
What I would love to see happen to that theater, and actually, AMC. Do you think AMC is going to buy that entire theater and make it into a theater, or you think that they're going to tear down all the non-dome stuff?
no, I think they would buy the whole thing because kind of like Alamo doesn't have a theater close to there. AMC has multiple in the Val, like on the other side of the Hollywood Hills, but they don't have anything in the Hollywood area. So they could actually want that whole thing. So that's by far the nicest complex in the area.
Yeah, because that's a nice theater. It's
like a hotel lobby. It's insane.
Because I remember when we walked in there, we're like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, where do I go?
It's huge. I could this is.
And I saw Jojo Rabbit on one of the side screens, and that was a really nice thing too. And that was like one of their smallest screens, so it was a nice complex.
Yeah, it's a super nice theater. I mean, I hate AMC with a passion. I have never had a good experience at an AMC theater. No, that's not true. I had one. I saw Hateful Eight 70mm, and it was actually a good time. But I mentioned the Howl's Moving Castle one. That sucked. And I saw Endgame on their IMAX screen, and some dude was trying to steal people's seats. He was walking to open seats, trying to get better seats.
And then they're like, "You're in my seat."
Yeah, I think they've got AMC has gotten better. I've been surprised because I was like big AMC hater, but like since they reopened, the one here anyway has been really good. Although there's also less people, so it's less of a zoo.
But when the more people come, they'll normalize.
That's also the bad con about early seats and everything is you get these people that come in like, "You're in my seat." And it's like, "No, I'm not." And then you have a big argument while the movie's going on.
Maybe they'll ask the stockholders what they want now.
I had a big, scary, buff guy at Batman Killing Joke say I was in the seat. I was terrified of that. And his seats are better than mine. Like, you're in my seat.
That is funny.
Your seat's right next to me. And it's better. Leave me alone.
Or then you get the people that pick the whole open theater and they pick the seats right next to yours, and you're like...
I know.
It's like,
I hate that so much.
I was in
front or behind. Don't do that.
I was in Mission Impossible, and I had like a whole row to myself, and then this elderly couple shows up like 30 minutes into the movie, and then they sit right next to me. I'm like, really? You had the whole row to choose, and you chose the seats right next to mine. And then I was like, they're trying to like cuddle, but through like they didn't share a seat. They like one was sitting in like the bind seat with mine. And the other, I'm like, what the hell? Like, just move over. No one's coming to the movie. You guys showed up 30 minutes late. And I'm like, whatever. I got up and moved over like 3 seats. I'm like, that was weird.
Yeah, I tell you, old people suck.
Yeah, you're in your crusade against old people.
No, old people
it's certain old people.
Old people at the movies. Old people and teens piss me off. Because teens talk, because they both talk.
Or you get the group of teens who are on their phone talking throughout the movie, and you're like...
It's a phone set. Seriously. Like, all right, here comes my rant. Why would you pay, like, $15, $20 for a movie ticket and sit on your phone? You can do that at home. Why? Like, what are you doing? Like, that's not as much of a problem. It's AMC really doesn't enforce it. But, like, that was definitely more of a problem in like Oshkosh and stuff, but like when I went to see Uncut Gems, that was even at an ArcLight, and like half the theater was on their phones from the start. I'm like, what are you doing?
I decided not to go to meet with some friends once because they wanted to buy seats in the back so they can be on their phones, not bother anybody.
Yeah, I tell them to.
Then why go to the movies?
I know. I was like, it's like you will bother me.
I'd be like, okay, we'll go, but I'm going to sit 2 rows in front of you guys so I can watch the movie.
Yeah.
The worst talking to me was when I've said that story multiple times, probably on this podcast, but I'll say it again because like this drove me insane. It's when me and my wife went and saw Detective Pikachu, and on the same rows there were these 2 adults. These 2 like 20-some, maybe even 30-some-year-old adults that every time a Pokemon went on screen would have to name it. Like, oh my god, it's Squirtle. Oh my god, it's Bulbasaur. And they were wrong half the time, too.
Oh my gosh.
every time, and my wife, who's like the biggest Pokemon fan I know, and you guys know her too. She was on this podcast, but you guys know her better than just the podcast. She's like the most non-confrontational person ever.
Yep.
Like super calm. Oh, she was losing it. Like she straight up said, "Hey, can you guys shut up? You're being distracting." And it kept going.
Yeah, theaters need more rules about all these things we're talking about could be easily avoided if like theaters actually enforce rules and not all of them do, or like had rules.
Mm-hmm. Like the Alamo.
It's like you're ruining everybody else's time, and like some of us actually paid money to watch a movie.
The Alamo has tons of rules. They're not often enforced. I should have read out this couple next to me that was on their phone the whole time. And Alamo theaters have like tables in between seats that have lights underneath them, and they're on their phones under the light, so the light was reflecting off the light from the table onto me. And then
they should install like in buttons in the Dream Loungers, like I see someone on their
buttons.
Yeah, like they're on their phone.
What you're supposed to do is write a note on your little thing, and then put it up on your table, and they come do it. They're gonna know it's me if I write a little note, put on their thing, someone reads it, and then talks to them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You just install a NARC button in all the Dream Lounger seats.
Dude, I don't care.
It lights up the theater. It doesn't tell you who did it. It's like otherwise it's like you have to go up and out to talk to a manager to get the person out, and by that time you're missing part of the movie. It's just like you either stay and watch it and deal with the ignorant people, or you get up and miss part of it just to get rid of them.
I just don't get it. Movies are expensive.
I know, that's the worst part. Like, I have problems enough, like, you know, if you're going to sit and watch a movie, like, watch a movie. But, like, especially when you've paid money to see it. Like, you yourself have paid money to see this movie just to not watch the movie.
I mean, the only movies I really like, I don't really care too much is, like, during comedies, considering it's just a fun, you're laughing your ass off kind of things. But when it's like you have to follow the plot to understand the movie, they're not. They're on their phone, and they whisper. Then they whisper to their boyfriend or something. They're like, "What's going on?" It's like, if you watch the fucking movie, you know what's going on.
If you're watching, you would know.
The last thing that I saw in a theater was Nomadland. I was so excited to go. I was so excited to watch it, and I get in there, and I remember why I hated going to the theater. At least non-Alamo theaters. I saw the one right down the street. People were talking during the movie. They're like commenting on the movie when, like, listen, you aren't Mystery Science Theater 3000. Nobody cares. At one point, the Christmas music in the movie, and they're humming along. I almost threw popcorn at them. I thought about it.
See, the only time we ever did that was when we were the only people in the theater.
Yeah, which didn't happen a lot when we were in Oshkosh.
It happened like twice.
Well, me and Justin went together a lot more than we went with you, Alex. Because me and Justin got bored a lot.
Well, we can either sit here and drink, or we can just go watch this movie. Let's go to the movie, then we'll get drunk.
Tickets in Oshkosh are so cheap.
Well,
I do miss that.
Tuesday and Thursday for us was basically $5.
They were not when we left.
Comparatively, to where I am now, they're cheap.
How much are they there? Because I know
$20 probably.
Because at Oshkosh it was like 13.
Yeah, it's like it depends on you know.
It also depends on what theater you get.
You're seeing, obviously, but like at minimum 15, usually more. I mean, the Dolby one I saw Top Gun in was 20. At that point, I'm like, I see why people just do stubs, because that's a whole month of stubs, and I could have also just seen this.
Like Movie Pass, which I'm not quite sure.
The classic ones are actually usually pretty reasonably priced. Like the 70mm they're doing for 2001 and Lawrence of Arabia, those were only $10 a pop.
I want to see a 30mm Last Picture Show screening. That's $8.
Oh my gosh, you have to do it.
I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can time it out, because there is literally one screen I could make on a Tuesday night, and it's the last one that they're doing, and I can only make it if the wife can come with me.
That's my advice in general to people. Also, like, if there's a classic screening, you're like, I don't know if I should do it. Like, it's so worth it because like
this is also in downtown Minneapolis at night.
At night.
So,
but there's probably parking, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, right next to the burning car.
Like figuring out parking is the main problem here, like street parking. If you have to, the MC Burbank, that's where everybody goes to. They have parking. But that's like my advice is like see classics when you can, because like I mean it's great to watch them at home and stuff, but like when you get to see them in the theater, like it's a completely different experience.
We did that a lot at the Alamo. We saw Brazil, Down Paradise, Bubba Hotep. We couldn't go to a lot because like the big ones like 2001 and Alien were all on weekends when I have to get up for work. It's all like crazy, but they're in the big screens. And Alamo's big screens are actually good, where you could actually get good seats, even when stuff is starting to sell out.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, that feeling you get when you see a movie and it's like an instant classic. Like you're guaranteed that feeling when it's our classic. Like it's great. But
I also encourage people to go to like event showings. What I mean by that is some of the most fun time I've ever had at a movie is seeing Rocky Horror Picture Show with all of the prop stuff. When everyone dances along and throws toast at the screen and shoots squirt guns and has noisemakers. It is so much fun. I can't recommend it to everyone because if you know Rocky Horror Picture Show, you were in for a very graphic sexual time. But they're doing it for a bunch of movies now. I saw one like that at the Alamo for Blazing Saddles, where everyone had cap guns and whoopee cushions and sheriff badges, and you were supposed to quote along with the movie, but no one really did that. I think for very obvious reasons.
They didn't know the movie.
Oh no.
Oh right, yeah. There's other.
Bless your soul, Justin. No, that is not why.
Right. Yeah. There's some words you're not allowed to say.
Yeah. Which they did address before the movie. They basically said, please don't say slurs during the movie.
Yeah.
I forget about that sometimes.
There's some. I think the big problem, though, which we've discovered with the pandemic, is that going forward with theaters is the fact that the at-home experience has become so close to the theatrical experience without having to deal with annoying other people and bunch of money. I mean, hell, movies are not cheap unless you're like a cheap day. Like I don't necessarily there's $5 Tuesdays, but even then, that's when everyone goes, and that's like when you get all of the people that don't really go to the movies and they come and they are on their phone and they talk and they mess around. I hate $1 day. I would much rather go to a matinee, pay the $3 more,
and have people that actually want to be there.
I'll pay a premium to see it with people who want to see the movie and I'm not gonna have distractions. I don't care how much. Like I'll pay a lot to not deal with that stuff.
And if you go see a classic, you probably get that experience.
Right.
If you go to like a new movie, it's hit or miss. You are rolling the dice.
I think there's a decent chance that they could, you kind of see that with like, they don't just have IMAX anymore. They also have Dolby Atmos. I think they're going to keep transitioning to more premium experiences when you go. So you really get the biggest screen, the best sound, all that stuff. So it's people who want to be there or for like classics to see them on the bigger screen. And then random movies, people can side on the other screens or, wherever else. I mean, there's still going to be, mid-level movies in theaters, but those are going to be the independent ones that people also really want to see.
I agree. I think simultaneous releases with streaming will become more common, not as common as they are now. But I think, Disney's model, I think they're going to be doing going forward probably exclusively. Where it's in theaters, but also on Disney Plus for $30 surcharge, which some families, like I know a lot of people, I would never pay that much to rent a movie at home. If I'm paying that much, I'd much rather go somewhere else and watch it.
But if you think about it, like a family of five, spending $30 is a lot cheaper than going to the movie theater because you got.
It makes sense.
You got to pay the tickets.
If the kid causes problems, you're not causing other people problems.
Yeah. Yes. It makes sense from that perspective.
Just start, put a ticket booth outside your house and just be like, okay, thanks to see this.
There's the HBO Max thing, which we've talked about in depth already, but Warner's not going to be moving forward with that.
I could see I could see them doing it with movies they think will bomb in theaters, but save the big blockbusters for not on HBO Max or something.
Yeah, Paramount's talked about having like movies come on Paramount Plus pretty soon after they put in theaters. But I do agree. I think that we'll see theaters become more specialized, where it's either that's where you see indie movies, or that's where you see the big blockbusters on the biggest screen possible.
Yeah. I mean, LA kind of already, I mean, you could see more places adopt it. There's definitely already like that model in LA where like you have some chains or like small theater groups that it's like this one is basically for indie ones, this one is for classics, this one has everything. Like, so like they'll have a couple of locations and that's how they'll do it.
However, I think the big question people are having is how are theaters going to recover from the pandemic? We're seeing now a spike, like a very sudden return to normal almost. A Quiet Place 2 did extremely well. It made as much as expected it to make before the pandemic.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
I guess we'll see if that holds.
Well, you also got
like a post-pandemic surge.
You also got to remember they don't make their money off the movies. They make their money off of concessions. So basically, as long as people are going there and buying food, they'll be happy and be able to somewhat come back.
Maybe if they made food cheaper, they'll actually...
Well, with this, they might make it more expensive because they're like, okay, we had a bad year, so...
And that's the problem.
I think it was more like... I think they'll be fine now that stuff's coming out and we're seeing, like, returns happening really fast because people want to see movies. I think we're through it because it was more about how do they survive when they can't show, when they're not making money, but now they're open, they can make money again. And
I guess the question I have is this surge we're seeing like back to normal prices, is that going to stay, or is it just post pandemic everyone wants to get out of their house? That's the one question.
As long as companies continue to put out movies, I think it should kind of basically get back to normal, because I think the problem with Tenet was the only thing that came out, and it's just like no other movies came out the next week. I mean, I would have kept going to theaters, but no one released anything, and I saw Tenet, so why would I go see it again so soon?
Yeah.
Obviously,
stuff's starting to come out. There's more event screenings they're doing. Like they kind of got the flow going and have some actual income and didn't go bankrupt. The ones that didn't anyway.
And also, I mean, you got the vaccine now. People are getting vaccinated, so people feel safer going outside now. So, and to theaters and stuff.
I think obviously you'll see Disney and Warner movies not do as well this year, just because of simultaneous releases. Which would be great for everyone else. But like, really, the big test is coming. And that's F9.
It's gonna make bank.
Yeah, like how much will that make? Because the real question is will F9 have $100 million opening?
I think it definitely.
I think it will.
The fact that Quiet Place just got as much as the first one did, it got in the 50s. Like, I think F9 can definitely hit 100, especially since like, the LA market's gonna be 100% open by then. So it's at like 50 now.
F9 is a lot more widespread than Quiet Places. It attracts more diverse audience.
I think it will, and I think it needs to. I think if it doesn't, there's going to be lots of questions about the future of theaters. But I think it will. I think it will.
Yeah.
No problem. People are excited for it. Universal is releasing it in theaters. I think it's going to come out on digital pretty quick. But people are going to see that in the theater. They're going to want to. It's Fast and Furious. It's big dumb action.
They're going to space.
But even then, like the fact that Disney is doubling down on this thing has me thinking that they're going to be doing this forever. I mean, Black Widow is coming out in like what, a week or two?
I thought that wasn't coming out till July.
I think it was back. Okay.
Yeah, July 9th, which I guess, I mean, that is like not that far.
That's a month.
Yeah.
Coming out a month, and Disney still wants to put it on Plus too. I mean, that's insane. Cruella, I understand, because no one wants to watch that. but
Yeah.
Black Widow.
That didn't do very well, did it?
Well, no, but the question is it because no one wanted to see it or because of Disney Plus? And Disney's not going to release those numbers.
They're definitely framing it hard as because it was on Plus as well. And the truth is, we'll probably never know.
Exactly.
Probably.
Truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, probably.
Because the people are going to see it on Disney Plus, but are those people who watch it on Disney Plus? If it didn't see it on Disney Plus, would they have seen it in the theater? So is the money equatable? I mean, there's tons of questions with that we'll never get answers to. Even though it'd be nice to actually know what those answers are.
Yeah, I think the truth is it didn't perform. I mean, just my opinion, didn't perform as expected because, like we saw with Godzilla vs. Kong, that's still a lot of money despite being on Max with no surcharge.
Yep. And supposedly the tracking numbers show it being significantly behind Mulan in terms of purchase. In terms of purchases.
Yeah, that movie would have made money for sure.
But also, they're not releasing the next Pixar movie in theaters either. Lucas comes to Disney Plus with no surcharge. Which again, do they not like money?
Well, we know Disney.
I mean, that's the movie. But it's the movie people would want to see in the theater. It's a kids' film. It's a family film. Families want to get out back into the world.
Either that or they don't think it's good.
Yeah, I think studios are making that choice where, like, if they don't think the movie would make as much as they would want, they're doing something like that because that's how they're, we were wondering, like, how are they going to handle the backlog? Are they just going to keep infinitely pushing things? But now it's like they have stuff in the pipeline and they have stuff that's done. So the stuff that's done has to come out now. So it's either going to come out in theaters or on streaming, but like they got to get those out because they're spending money on other things that they can't keep pushing.
Yeah, it got to a pretty serious. I don't think theaters could have held out for much longer because I think we were. I mean, it was over a year. We were kind of reaching that dire point where they were starting to get back. I mean, Alamo declared bankruptcy, which they've emerged from successfully.
And I mean, unironically, AMC got helped out by the fact that everybody bought their stock.
AMC to the moon.
Which is scary because now AMC is going to expand. It's like this is not having the effect you want it to. People, you're helping the bad guy.
Hey,
as long as they get money in the process, they didn't care.
They announced special stockholder benefits. I can walk in like a VIP.
They roll out the red carpet, give you a fresh martini.
You get free popcorn.
Ooh, you can just pick off is the free popcorn just whatever is left over on the floor from the people. And AMC theaters are they're so dirty.
I know, and that's the one thing. Like, I really hope they've found new like cleaning procedures so that when it's fully open, it won't happen. But like right now, it looks so nice, at least at the Burbank one, and I'm like, please don't become where there's paper towels like in the hall everywhere again. Like Endgame was like a zoo. I felt like I was in like a goat pen.
Well, it's also for Endgame on opening day. You basically
but it was like that all the time.
Like animals, as most you probably were.
But yeah, it was bad all the time. It was like, wow, this is gross.
I want to segue in a different direction. Justin, you worked at a movie theater, you mentioned, correct?
Yes. For about
Do you have
3 months.
about working at a theater that are worth sharing?
Not really. I'm trying to think if there was anything good, but I was only there for about 3 months or so. I mean, the cast of characters you meet who are buying tickets or whatever for certain movies, and you're asking like, oh, what are you seeing? And you're like, oh, this. It's like, oh, I'd give a comment or here or two.
Oh, you were that dude.
Well, only if they were very talkative.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with being that dude, you know.
Oh, no, but it might just be just me. But I hate going to a movie theater and the employees try to like discuss the movie with me.
No, I didn't do that. I would be like, oh, I thought it was very good, well acted, and everything, and be like, enjoy. That was basically what I did.
Okay.
I heard this movie sucks.
You're an idiot.
Well, because I worked there in
dumbass.
2014, so there was a lot of good movies to see that year.
That's a good year.
No, 2015. I take that back, because it was the year
Still a
Mad
good
Max came out.
Oh yeah.
Because that was like leaving theaters as I came in. Trying to think, is there anything that? Nah, I can't really think of anything that happened, other than this one girl's like, "Oh, what's the Wi-Fi password?" It's like, we don't give that out. I'm like, why? Because then you'll be on your phone in the movie, which you're not supposed to be doing. Oh,
Did she get it? Did she understand why, or was she like, like?
she's like, "Oh, okay," and walked away. I was like, I don't think she understood.
She is gonna be on her phone.
Go talk to the usher. Be like, her. Watch her.
Watch.
Okay, I guess I'll segue to, since that was kind of a bust, I'll go to a different
Sorry.
for a question. If you had to pick, gun to your head, your favorite experience at a movie theater, what is it?
Kyle, listen, can I say a couple and then say which is my favorite, or am I just allowed to say the one that's my favorite?
Just
There are
say,
a couple standouts.
say what you want.
Okay, good. Because there was the one you were at, already talked about, the El Capitan Rogue One. That was one of the best.
It was amazing. 5 stormtroopers.
I know, and then like the alarms were blaring. Like I've never seen so many speakers too. Like,
Yeah, I just remember that the staff were looking at us like weirdos because we kept walking around the theater, entering different doors, looking at all the different angles and stuff. Because I wanted, can you help go into your seats? No, we wanted to look at.
there was I saw Inception in like an IMAX theater, like that was owned by them. But the best one, I did make reference to it. It's always this one, even though I had shit seats. But Avatar in 3D is definitely my number one. Like, I just don't think anything beats that, you know. And it led to the stupid cheap 3D craze, all that stuff. But like that movie did itself because James Cameron, as a lunatic. So that's always going to be my number one. That was insane.
Justin, how about you?
Probably just going to the theater to watch Force Awakens, and just like the atmosphere was like, you couldn't believe, like, Star Wars is back, baby. Let's see how it's going. And then unfortunately that was the end of the hype. One time I did have a lot of fun when I went to go see 22 Jump Street, because I finished my first year of college when that came out, and there was one joke where the drug they're looking for is called Wi-Fi, and the Channing Tatum's like, I hear you can get Wi-Fi on campus 24/7. I just burst out laughing before anyone kind of realized what was going on. So everyone's kind of looking at me like, why the hell are you laughing? And then all of a sudden Jonah Hill's just like, you think they mean Wi-Fi the drug or Wi-Fi the internet? And then everyone realized why I was laughing my ass off.
Oh, so you were the weirdo in the theater for a second.
Yeah, I was. But then everyone realized why I was laughing, and then they're like, oh, it was pretty funny.
I have to agree, Alex, on two fronts. I loved Rogue One, the El Capitan. That was amazing. I remember there being a sign that basically said, don't look directly at the projector because it might damage your eyes.
It's got lasers.
Freaking laser beams.
That was. I mean, they had props. We took a picture with stormtroopers. It was bizarre. It was a bizarre experience. I think a guy we were with got like a Mickey Mouse pretzel. It was a weird movie watching experience. I also loved Avatar in 3D. That was pretty amazing. I also saw 2001 on IMAX, which was incredible.
I hate you.
It was an empty theater, which was very weird. But
that movie would scare the shit out of me watching it in an empty theater.
It was eerie.
When you get the
because they did the overture, which is like the spooky noises.
Yeah.
And there was that in IMAX speakers. That was weird. But number one had to be Hateful Eight, the road show of Hateful Eight, in 70mm at AMC Southdale. That was amazing. Because it had the overture, everyone got like a brochure. It was 70mm, so it looked amazing. It was a version of the movie that I know has been released since. It was like an extended version with like immense extra footage.
They put some of that into like a mini-series type version, but they've never released like that. I don't think they've ever released that version on like a Blu-ray or something.
No. So it was really special. It looked amazing. I loved it. I wanted to see more stuff like that. But Hateful Eight didn't do great at the box office because Force Awakens consumed it, and so we never got to see, I think, more of that.
Yeah, I'd love to see roadshow stuff return. You know, we got to bring intermission back. If every movie's going to be 2.5 hours, listen, give me a pee break, okay? Give me like a little bit. Let me get up.
Here's a little tip for that. You go to the theater, you pee, go to your seat, or not, as the trailers are playing, you pee again. Then you walk out and you go and you wait like 5 minutes and you go back in, pee one last time, and you should be good.
How much water are you consuming? Do you have to pee that many times?
Well, you try to pee. You try to pee. You don't necessarily pee, but you try to get everything. Like you try to rinse out the rag, get everything out. I did for Endgame. I didn't have to go. I was like, that was good.
Oh, I planned that out. Like, I shouldn't have to do this movies because you're gonna have like half an hour of previews in your Endgame movie, which is over 3 hours, and there's no intermission. Like, you had to literally plan out. There were articles about how to do it before Endgame. Like, that shows that we kind of need intermissions, right?
Have you guys?
That's another rant.
Have you guys ever downloaded the Run P app?
No.
I know, but see, I don't want to miss any of the movie.
I did as a joke. Because it was funny. Because it's funny as hell.
I know someone who uses that religiously.
I don't. I use it as a joke because it's funny as hell. But it's an app that tells you when to pee in a movie at the theater. I feel like we're also encouraging people to be on their phones during a movie.
Right. That's my one problem with it. And two, like, if it's a good movie, there shouldn't be a time where I can go pee because there shouldn't be any wasted time. Like, if it's that good, especially if it's 2.5 hours, there shouldn't be a time. You know, if you're going to make it that long, you should have a reason.
But honestly, if theaters want to do better and get more people there, intermissions are a great idea.
Yeah, I think people would like that.
I mean, it doesn't have to be long, like 5 minutes tops.
And obviously, they would have to hard enforce the fact that when it starts again, it starts again. Like, you can't have people for a time walking in 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
But, like, if they enforced it right, like, that would be great, I think.
There has to be like a policy of when you see the intermission sign, you have 10 minutes. And then have like a light outside the screening that, like, flickers. And that's, like, your minute warning.
Yeah, like, you better haul ass.
Yeah, it's like your minute, 90 seconds, like, hey. But that's what they do in plays, right? In plays of intermissions, you all go in the lobby, and the lights start flickering, and that's when you know, okay, everyone go back inside.
Yeah, like, plays are still able to do this fine. Like, you know, I don't know why movies have just, like, stopped, and that would feel weird to have back in, because plays still do it every time.
I mean, it's no different than when you're watching a movie at your house, and you're like, oh, I gotta use the bathroom, pause.
Right, yeah. So I think that's actually something people would like because people like being able to do that at their house. I know for like classic screenings like they're doing 2001 and Lawrence of Arabia, like those still have the intermissions in. So especially for Lawrence, you definitely need it.
Yeah, when I saw 2001, I think that was more for authenticity reasons than anything else.
Yeah, because the AMC 10 Commandments, they shortened it. I came back and it was in the middle of the next scene. I couldn't believe it.
I mean,
I was like, then what's the point of saying the intermission's going to be there?
My only problem was it'd make going to the movies even a longer experience because they have like 20 minutes of previews. But
that is an issue. They need less trailers.
Here's the thing, like my argument, like they can give all the arguments they want for leaving those in. Fact. Probably over 90% of the people have already seen that trailer because they have a phone. They have a computer. They see trailers online constantly. Like, the fact that there's more trailers now that it's easier to watch trailers is ridiculous.
Yeah, it should be obscure trailers of movies you wouldn't even think people would see.
Right.
I remember seeing a trailer for like where a foosball table comes to life. It was an animated movie, and I'm like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah, that's what Alamo does. Alamo will always put in like indie trailers in whatever movie is being shown.
Yeah, before JoJo, I saw it was like the new Terrence Malick and then like some other independent one, and then the movie started. That was it. It was like 5 minutes.
We don't need the 6 blockbuster movies that are coming out this summer. We've already seen the trailers.
Yeah, everybody has seen that Cruella trailer like 20 times on TV and online and stuff. Why did I have to see it before Top Gun? And then they didn't even show the trailer for the second Top Gun movie. That's coming out.
Can we also lose
I gotta
the-
watch Cruella and Fast 9 and stuff, but there's not one for the sequel to this movie I'm about to watch.
Can we also ditch the Chevy commercials too?
Yeah, we get commercials too. There's like a couple commercials and
Then
well,
the
there's
trailers start.
whatever like not policy stuff, but like whatever like people design the sound and the theater setup. Then there's the commercials. Then there's like 100 trailers. Then there's the policy trailer. Then the movie starts. Takes over 20 minutes.
See,
We
this
don't-
is
we
what,
don't even
this is
get
what they gotta
people-
do. They gotta cut the commercials, trim down the trailers, and then give us back the like opening montage of movies. And
I was gonna say we don't even really get the who designed the theater anymore. Like there's no more Cinedigm, a new paradigm in cinema.
no,
Or
I
that
know.
Dolby one. It's just normal stuff.
I've seen those. Like for the Dolby Atmos, they did like a Dolby Atmos thing.
Is this when we do an ode to our dear friend Greg Marcus?
I'm always ready for an ode to Greg
The
Marcus.
the movie theater king. So if you are not in the Midwest, the dominant theater chain in Wisconsin and Minnesota is Marcus Theaters. It is a family-run chain.
Largest, third or
What?
fourth largest chain. Yeah.
Yeah,
in the US.
They're huge, but I think they're mostly concentrated in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's like almost all Midwest.
But they're run by a man named Greg Marcus, who opens every
Got it.
movie by doing an intro of him going, "Hi, I'm Greg Marcus," and then doing some like weird, really awkward, terrible
Probably a
skit.
story about his father. My father used to take me fishing, and so I bought. He bought a movie chain.
They're so and they're so amazing because literally you can go to someone talk about movies and you'll be like, "Yeah, what about Greg Marcus?" and people will know what you're talking about. And they're like I have coworkers that are like, "Yeah, I hate Greg," and I love Greg. Greg, come to my wedding. Come on this podcast. Greg, this is an
Do it,
open
Greg.
invitation. This is an open invitation to Greg Marcus. Come on this podcast. Talk about movies with us.
We
about
love
TV
you.
with us. We love you. We want
Because
to
it was the
hear-
thing, like they did those, and at first everyone hated them, but then they kept getting more ridiculous. He's like playing a piano, he's doing all this stuff, and eventually you meme it, and then it becomes lovable, and now everybody loves Greg.
I love the one where he's like being like a ticket counter. He's tearing tickets, and as we're like, "Huh, Star Trek, based off a true story." Like it is so cringy. It's so incredibly cringy, but I love it. I was laughing so hard.
Let's be honest. If we owned a theater chain, we do the same stuff.
Oh, heck yeah!
Ridiculous.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. But Greg, just know on this podcast, the first question I'm going to ask you is, why did you get rid of the super cool intro videos?
Yeah, the old school policy trailer is amazing. It's on YouTube. Look it up. Marcus policy trailer.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
I missed those.
Yeah, they were. It was so. No,
It's
I
so
did the wrong
hype.
one. I did the wrong one. No, the one everyone knows is how's it go?
No, you did the right song.
No, the wrong one is do.
Oh no, you're right.
All right.
That's the right one. That's the right one. I did the one that's good, but not as good.
Right. Yeah, you did the digital one.
Yeah, the Marcus Digital Experience, which I think they got rid of. I don't think they brand it as the Marcus Digital Experience anymore.
I don't
Did
think
they
so.
still have anything before? I haven't been to a Marcus in like.
No, it's just Greg. It's just Greg, and then it's like a super lame one where it's like a red screen, and the Marcus logo shows up, and it's just enjoy this show.
Oh,
Yeah.
at least you still have Greg.
I boo it every time it comes on because it just makes me sad. I do remember though. I don't know if you did this, Alex, but I know me and Justin did. Where every time we were in a Marcus theater, every time Greg would come up on screen, we'd clap.
I think I was gone by the time we really started to meme it that hard, but I would absolutely do that now. Oh, wait, no, we did. We did start doing it towards the end of when I was there. I do remember that now. I remember it once or twice.
Because it's just like.
I remember a bunch of people just looked at us like, what the hell?
I really wish my biggest regret in college is that we never did the road trip down to Milwaukee and watch Greg play piano at a nightclub. Now, I'm sure he probably knows.
We love you, Greg. You know, you're right. Yeah, you're like out of time to do your Greg face mask thing.
I know. Oh yeah, because I was gonna do a Greg face mask where I was gonna make a mask and put Greg's face on it and go to the movies. But
there's still time where you won't look like a. You got to do it fast.
That's true.
Like a year from now, everybody's gonna be like, "What are you doing?"
It was just a stunt to basically get on their Twitter and try to meet Greg. Like that's the only reason why I would do it, just so I could meet Greg Marcus.
See, now you gotta do it, and then they'd be like, "Hey, you want to come on my podcast?"
Dude, I will invite him to my wedding. This is an open invitation. Come on the podcast. Come to my wedding. Come to my bachelor party. Like, come hang out with us, Greg.
We'll talk movies.
Alex will probably come down from California if it means he gets to meet Greg Marcus.
Oh, I would.
Come talk movies with us. Come talk theories with us. Come talk about your dad with us. Sorry. Don't take that as a mean way. Greg, we love you. Greg Chan. Please, sometime, Greg. Please come. Please come talk to us. But I just want to talk with him and just interview someone who's like who owns a theater chain. Because I'm curious what they perceive of things that have currently happened. And what his opinion, what their opinions are, because theaters have been getting more and more luxury. It's becoming more like a privileged thing, as weird as it is to say, but it kind of is. I mean, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Because tickets are like, if you go to a small town one, it's at least 10 per ticket, unless you're a matinee. But it's
that's why the passes are such a big deal, like the AMC stuff.
Yeah. But those tickets are just as high as like 15 to 20, depending on what you're going to see, or what theater you're going to, or where your location is. And then food, if you're going with kids, they're going to demand popcorn. That's like as much as tickets cost. I mean, $10 for a popcorn, $10 for a drink.
I'd occasionally splurge for a icy or something.
Yeah, I'll get popcorn at the Alamo because it's fresh butter, but we'll usually get water because water's free. But I also think it's weird when people smuggle stuff into theaters and are like proud of it.
Ooh, you smuggled like a candy bar in.
Oh, I'm not proud of it. I used to always smuggle in a water bottle. I don't anymore. But
no, I'm okay with that. I mean, I people who went to high school with that would smuggle in like cans of pop, whole bags of chips.
Like I don't care.
Like,
yeah. Oh, well. I don't think I said this, but I mean, apparently my dad once smuggled in an entire pizza.
Well, my college roommate sophomore year said that he had a buddy who had diabetes, and so they smuggled shit in his dialysis bag. like whole pizzas and stuff. Now you can buy pizzas at the movies. Can that be? That's another thing we got to talk about. I know we've been talking for a long time, but. I have a question to everyone that goes to like a non-Alamo, like restaurant theater and orders a whole meal, like a burger or a pizza or any of that. Why?
I only did it one time when I was waiting for a movie, and I was like, oh, I might as well eat before I go see the movie.
Yeah, see, that makes sense to me. To bring it in and like be clanking your utensils and like eating an entire
like knife and fork dinner in a movie seat.
I saw that in 1917. Like this guy, like I guess metal utensils because I heard the clanking all movie, and like he just chowed down a whole meal as the guy next to me also eats popcorn one kernel at a time, which I'm pretty sure makes you a serial killer.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I think that's Alamo.
I'd be like, how do you eat and focus on a movie at the same time?
I've done the Alamo when I eat too, because there are times where I'm like, yeah, I'm way too hungry. So
yeah.
I'll order, and it's nice because Alamo's not. I mean, Alamo's expensive to get a full dinner there, but it's also kind of meant for that because you have tables, and sound is so loud that kind of drowns out the eating noises. But if you're at like a normal theater and you're just eating a burger, that's just weird to me. See, and that's the thing too. I feel like always movies have become too casual like that.
Yeah.
Where everyone's eating burgers, they're all like reclined, like they're at like
Their couch.
yeah, they're at their couch, and because that people I think have lost respect for where they're at. You're not
there's
at
other
your house.
people who want to watch a movie.
Yeah, you're not at your house. You're not in your basement. You're in a public setting. I can't tell you how many times I went to a theater in Oshkosh. I think Justin, you and I have seen Success a few times. And people show up to the movie in their pajamas.
Oh yeah. Oh hey, when I worked at the movie theater, I saw that a lot. Like I saw a family come in. They were all wearing their pajamas. They had pillows and blankets with them too.
Where do you think you are? Like, what do you remember? Was this like a late showing, or was this like at like 4 in the afternoon? I see that at 4 in the afternoon.
I think it was like 4 in the afternoon kind of area. Either that or it was like 11 in the morning.
Or like I've seen with kids where like a late showing, but if your kid needs to show up to a movie in pajamas because it's bedtime, why are they there?
I want to see the movie.
Go to bed. See, that's the problem I have with the kids in the adult movies. Is it's clearly because the parents either don't have the patience to wait until it comes out on video or don't want to get a babysitter. But you can't sacrifice everyone else's good time.
Yeah, it has to be like a well-behaved kid. Like, yeah, I got taken to stuff all the time because they told me, like, we won't take you if you're gonna talk. So I just didn't talk. But
I want to see the movie.
I feel like most 7-year-olds also don't go to see Terminator 3 in theaters.
No, you'd be surprised.
Well, okay, yeah, but they're the ones who then get their eyes covered the whole movie and are supposed to be there and talk and make noise. Like, I was jazzed, man. Like, Terminator was my shit at that point. I don't know how I was allowed to watch it, but it was my shit.
I mean, it just frustrates me because I remember the dad who brought his like 5-year-old kids to go see 2001, and they were running around the theater. Like they're running around the theater the whole time they're playing because it's 2001 and they're children.
I would like punt them.
That's not the movie you take small children to.
Just trip them as they run by.
That movie freaks me out. I'm an adult.
Oh, and it's long.
It's also very slow. Yeah.
It's long. It's slow. It's not just because it's G doesn't mean it's for kids.
Right.
Probably divorced dad who has his kids just 1 weekend a month and wants to see 2001 at the same time. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't. That was mean.
It was funny though.
There's also the trend now of like TV shows being shown in movie theaters of like special events. I like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. They did that for Game of Thrones. I didn't end up going, but that would have been cool.
Yeah, I thought I was going to say, didn't they do that for Game of Thrones?
Mm-hmm.
I wish they did it for Watchmen. I always saw Watchmen.
That would be cool.
In the theater, but they didn't. They did it for Righteous Gemstones, but I couldn't go.
Did they do it for Chernobyl? Because if not, they should have.
No, they should have.
Oh, I would do that for sure.
I would have paid like $50 and watched all 5 episodes. On the theater.
I was going to say, I would watch all of them in one day.
I guess that's kind of the problem is you got to find the right TV show that would work in there.
They did show El Camino, and I did watch, which kind of counts, and I did watch that.
Yeah.
At the Alamo. My wife, who had never seen a single episode of Breaking Bad and had absolutely zero clue what was happening the entire time. She hated it.
Well, yeah, it's built entirely on like 5 seasons of a show
that she hadn't seen. But yeah, I love going to the theater. I went to the theater. I shocked Alex because I think you were almost irritated with how often I went to the movie theater for a time. I went at least once. Up until the pandemic happened, I went at least once a week. At least. Off days are like in the middle of the week. What else am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I think before the pandemic, I was going like every 2 weeks.
What else can I do at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday? By myself. I guess I'll go see Hellboy. But also for me, the theater is therapeutic. I don't know if I ever told you guys this before, but I have autism, and that's a joke.
Yeah,
I know.
and the theater is like a therapeutic spot for me because it's like sensory deprivation in a sense. Unless you see Tenet and the music blows your ears out. But normally
Annihilation.
Or Annihilation in the face makes you crap your pants. Is that one we all went to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I mean, that bear scene alone was.
Yeah.
I remember another Jerome story. I remember with the bear scene where he's in the theater and he turns and looks at me with the person and goes, like, in the most genuine, scared voice I've ever heard. He's going, "It can mimic human voices." In the theater, and I laughed. But I was also terrified. Like, I was also really scared. Yeah. But I love theaters. I love nice theaters. I do think that if theaters want to stay relevant, they have to become nicer. They have to become, I think, more experience based, like more bigger, more something that you can't get from home. But that's just my opinion. I don't know what you guys think on that.
I mean, I think that would be good. I feel like they'll be fine on their way, honestly. Like, I think people really do want to go see movies.
But what would help is if every theater adopted Alamo type rules and banned
definitely, yeah.
And banned talking, texting, so phone stuff. And I wouldn't say all the time, but I think past a certain time there should be an age ban because nothing.
No.
I only say that because I do like the fact that Alamo does it because groups of teens together ruin movies.
But I think if you're enforcing the other rules, then it's not going to matter.
Because I know that Alamo has that rule where you have to be over 18 or with an adult.
Like, yeah, I just think that's super lame because, like, when I was that age, I wouldn't do any of that, and I would still want to go. So,
yeah.
But I, yeah.
That's like some high school shit.
I think Alex is right. As long as you enforce the other rules, I don't think it'd be too much of a problem.
But then you actually have to enforce those rules.
That's the problem.
Which, I mean, because those rules are already in place in most theaters. It's the age thing that it's really the only different one. But most theaters have those rules in place. They just don't enforce them. I mean, AMC, Marcus, they never enforce them.
No, definitely not.
And AMC is one of the worst spots to see a movie because of that. A terrible chain because they don't enforce the rules, and they're just messy. The theaters are nice. Like AMC, while I hate AMC IMAX, the theaters are typically like they have good screens. The layout of the normal theaters can sometimes be really goofy. I don't know if the one you saw, Alex, was like this, but when I saw Howl's Moving Castle, it was like weird. It was built up, but in like a really like weird way, where like the difference between the different like levels was like super high.
No, I think the ones here are normal, but also like I mean the one I go to is like huge, so like. It's one of their nicer locations when it's not overrun with people.
Is there an AMC that's not huge though?
Yeah, well, there are a couple around here that are smaller just to handle the overflow and stuff.
Only 30 screens instead of 50. Because I haven't seen an AMC that's had like, but even then, like maybe we need more theaters that only have like 1 or 2 screens.
Yeah, there's another thing that's big around here. That a lot of the ones that do the classic ones are like. They have one big ass screen and that's it. The Arrow is one screen. The Egyptian is one screen. Stuff like that.
I have a hometown theater that is like that. That's like an old like vaudeville stage that became a movie theater. It's not the best theater to go see a movie at. Like if you actually care about the movie, don't go see it at that theater because it's not very high quality experience. But it's like $4 per ticket any day. But with that, we were talking for a long time, so I'll stop our rambling short. Let us know what you think on YouTube and Facebook. Add a comment, add a post. We'd love to hear what you think about our thoughts or what your thoughts are on theaters. And also spread the word. If you know Greg Marcus personally, let him know we want him on the podcast. Let's start a movement. Let's get Greg on the podcast. # Greg on Idiot Plot. Let's get that trending. All 3 of you that listen to us.
Tweet at all 3 of his Twitter accounts.
Yeah, tweet. Just make sure you see this. Let's get him on this podcast. Greg, I will give you all the money in my pocket right now. It's not that much. It's like $8.40. But it is yours if you will come on our podcast and talk to us.
I'll give you my AMC shares. Actually, no, I won't.
But yeah, thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. We'll be back again next time. I'm David Yanish. On behalf of Alex Overall and Just Tonight, so thanks for listening. Let's talk about theaters. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Idiot Plot. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, follow us on Facebook and Letterbox. The links are in the description.